Thank you, members of the Fairfax County School Board. I am glad to present to you this evening TJ Admissions Merit Lottery proposal. One of the things we just talked about earlier this afternoon is leading with equity at the center of all that we say and do. As we've talked about One Fairfax and having equity at the focus and center of what we do. And we need to recognize today that TJ should reflect the diversity of Fairfax County Public Schools, the community, and of Northern Virginia. And the reality today, if we are honestly leading with equity at the center, is that the talent at Thomas Jefferson currently does not reflect the talent that exists in FCPS. We recognize a comprehensive approach is needed to enhance diversity and inclusion at Thomas Jefferson. This goal aligns with the One Fairfax initiative. I'd like to just center the board in the next slide, if we can, of what FCPS student population looks like if we go back to fall of 2019. You can see a little bit over 37% Asian, a little bit over 37% white, my apologies, a little bit over 19% Asian, almost 10% African American, and you can see, again, two or more races, and our Hispanic population being almost 27%. You can see below the pie chart that our economically disadvantaged population as of last year, and we know that number has been trending slightly upward, is slightly over 29%. And English language learners stands at 24 or 27.4% of our population. I'm now going to turn it over to our Chief Operating Officer, Marty Smith.
This slide here will frame our discussion for the remainder of the day. We'll be looking at our diversity at TJ, and as Dr. Brabrand said earlier, the diversity at TJ doesn't currently reflect the diversity of Northern Virginia, and the talent at TJ does not reflect the talent in Fairfax County Public Schools. But it is important to note that with all of these changes that we've made to the process, but we haven't realized the outcomes that we were looking for, which is why we're bringing this proposal to you today.
Unfortunately, in the year 2016-17, due to budget cuts, we were forced to reduce our outreach specialist position to a 0.5 position. That dramatically changed and altered how we did some of our work at that point in time, still to this day. At this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and move it, return this back to Dr. Brabrand.
Testing has been a barrier for historically underrepresented students to move to the semifinalist stage. We have applicants that have talent, that have merit, and those applicants are drained out in the semifinalist stage through the use of an admissions test. We believe not only will we see the increase in underrepresented kids that include racial and ethnic identity, economically disadvantaged, second language, but we believe we will also lower the barrier for increased access of special education kids, including those that are twice exceptional, will benefit from this merit lottery proposal. If you go on to take a look at the very final class, the class of 2024, again, the same kind of increases from 1% of our African American to 7%, from 3% of our Latino to 8%. Look at this most recent class, economically disadvantaged, only 0.6% are getting in after the administration of the TJ admissions test. A merit lottery would bring 10% of our economically disadvantaged students to give them the equity of opportunity and access to be able to participate in Thomas Jefferson. Our English language learners, again, less than 1% to a little over 3.4%. Again, the merit lottery is breaking down barriers It is time for this wall to come down in Fairfax County Public Schools. We also know that we need to ensure a caring culture for all of our TJ students. All of our TJ students, including the TJ students there right now, need more support for transition resources to make sure they're going into a culture and climate in which they will be successful and feel success, but also where they will feel included, feel respected, and feel a complete part of the TJ community. We note creating this caring culture also means more professional development for our staff at TJ, who do an amazing job, who are world class. And we need to be sure they continue to do all they can to have the tools that they need to support unique needs of all of our learners. We also need to understand in this time, maybe more than ever, the kind of wraparound support for students that's needed. We have got to particularly address the social emotional supports where we want excellence, but we don't want to create an unhealthy environment where we have a pressure cooker that does not give students the support and the social emotional supports they need to be resilient and to have and maintain a passion, a love for science and technology and math that will stay with them their entire life. We have worked hard around equity. We have made efforts around our TJ admissions process, but we have not gotten the outcomes that truly allow us to fully represent the full talent that is in the pool of applicants for TJ. We are recommending, and I plan to move forward with this process after community engagement. But it is my hope that we will move forward with this merit lottery to increase the equity of opportunity and access for all of our students. We've shown you here clearly that the test, the TJ admissions test, for years and years and years has been a barrier to students of talent, to students of merit. And it is time that admissions test hasn't really just been a barrier, it's been a wall that's prevented access of opportunity for our students. And it is time today to tear down this wall, to move forward with a new process that provides equity of opportunity and access for the full range of our students here in Fairfax County Public Schools.
I think many of us will definitely agree this is overdue and a long time coming. One of the things that I do want to share, even though it's been articulated, I wanted to underscore that I don't believe, and I don't think any of us believe, that this is the end all to be all to resolve the issues that we have going on at TJ. We have a pipeline situation that must be addressed when we're talking about what happens at the middle schools, what happens in the AP centers, what happens as students qualify for AP centers, and the preparation that many families are able to offer to their students en route to TJ. There, Dr. Brabrand, it is well known that both you and Ms. Keys-Gamarra are part of the governor's task force to make recommendations for whatever action that the state chooses to take.
Transpire, we met for 4 or 5 times. A number of legislators were brought forward, and a lot of students, which was extremely valuable to hear their direct report of what their experiences have been. These were both students who are currently attending our governor's schools, as well as students from the past. There had also been one student who had done a survey of a different governor's school, the Maggie Walker, down in the Richmond area. And what I was struck by was that there was pretty much a unanimous view about the culture of these schools being not as healthy as I know all of us on this board would like to hear from our students. This is not to discount, all of the positive things going on and that sort of thing. But I think the thing that struck me the most was that there were enough incidents that people were reporting that would fall in the category of what we discussed in the last work session, about how there can be racial incidents and how they had not been handled properly. And so what it underscored for me was some of the work that we talked about this morning. Now, we did have a presentation, and I hope to have an opportunity in the future to bring forward the documents that were submitted to us. They did look at the history of both Maggie Walker as well as TJ, and the primary concern is that what that creates. And one of the things that stuck with me, there were a number of past students who simply said, as adults, they wouldn't send their children into that environment. And so we really have to do some work to figure out what trauma that can create by students feeling particularly isolated. Dr. Brabrand is correct when he says that there were no specific recommendations, but there were a number of choices that were discussed. For example, they didn't think that lottery alone, as well as picking a number of students from each individual region, would alone address the diversity concerns. They were concerned about the number of students who took math and didn't qualify, or how they were eliminated along the way. And so I would say that there is great interest in this community across the state in this issue. And so I'll use my time to discuss that at a later
times before. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And look, students at TJ are suffering. Alumni have told us heart-wrenching stories of what they've gone through. We have letters from classes of graduates with hundreds of signatures saying that diversity needs to be addressed. So I just think that no matter what we do, there won't be a perfect solution. But the other saying that keeps rolling around in my head is the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing and expecting different outcomes. I thought the slide showing all the steps that have been taken to marginally increase access is really telling. And I just don't think at this time, in this era, with the momentum of this board and the superintendent's proposal, that we can sit here and say, let's take more time, let's find more options. I mean, people are hurting. We've heard from a student who I've spoken many times with now, who tried to bleach her skin because she didn't feel welcome as a Black student in this school. It's toxic for those students who feel left out. It's toxic for students who are doing the bullying. It's a diverse world. We are serving our kids better when we let them and help them engage with people who are different than them. It's a workforce criteria these days. I'd also like to hear how TJ's principal was involved with the creation of this approach and what she thinks and how she sees this fitting into the overall efforts to make TJ even better than it is now.
Anne?
Sure. Ms. Mann, would you mind restating your question for me to make sure that I accurately captured it?
Sure. I was wondering what your involvement has been in the process to develop the presentation we heard today, and also how how strongly you feel that this is the best step forward for your school.
Sure, thank you. I will say that one of the things that drew me to TJ 3 years ago and actually made me seek the position was the notion that school could be more representative of its region. I read an awful lot about TJ, and I was hopeful that perhaps I could be an influencer and a positive force and a unifier in the process. And so most recently, I would say within the past several months, as FCPS has been grappling with this issue, as has the state, with all of the directors of governor schools, I have been involved in certain conversations. I've been involved with the task force that Secretary Carney put together, and I appreciated being a part of that. Dr. Brabrand and Mr. Smith have also reached out to me periodically over the past several weeks and have included me in some of the conversations. Feedback, I would say that it's been a large representative group of everybody giving feedback. I would say that we are all united in believing that there is a statistically significant enough difference in the disparities that we're seeing, that action does need to be taken. It does need to be taken sooner than later. And I am fully supportive of FCPS efforts to advance the representative demographics at our school. I also feel that our staff is well poised and receptive to welcoming all students, regardless of background or circumstance, and helping them be successful. I often say that our students are more than a GPA to us, and we are their GPS. And we help them navigate those bumps along the road. And sometimes we help them find the speed pass lane so they can accelerate. And I'm looking forward really to leading the next generation of TJ, regardless of the outcomes of this process. And I feel that we are moving definitely in the right direction to expand opportunities. We need to find talent, we need to develop talent, and TJ is the school to do that. And I do not believe that FCPS is going to create processes that diminish our stature as a school, because I'm confident in our teachers' amazing ability to work with all students. And I also want to make sure that when we talk about representative demographics and providing more opportunities to students, that we do not approach it with a deficit model, thinking that having a different composition of students at TJ somehow means that those students are not going to contribute to the success of our school. Right now, we have a wonderfully diverse school of all backgrounds, all races, all ethnicities, and all students contribute to the success. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, that's pretty resounding support for continuing forward. And you have mentioned that the school is diverse, but at the same time, it seems, it's not to the extent to which you or the division and the community think. So I think that's really important for colleagues to hear, that you as the principal support this effort. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
There's emails from students who they don't see them. There's a cultural bias against those who kind of get encouraged to go to TJ, as well as those who are at TJ. And I personally think that sounds like, from all the emails I've gotten, a huge part of the problem.